Our ideas are so complex, but that's what makes them awesome. That's what like attracts me to them, is like we're thinking now at the point of like, what does a workout like what we did today, how does that change my feeling about myself, other people, my behavior? Is there something that it sets in stone where if I do this repeatedly, it leads to a certain personality trait? And if that personality trait is desirable in society, but we just found a way to condition people to become better people through like various means.
Can you tell me more? There was a coaching thing that you said about, you said a lot of people, it's probably been a long time since anyone's had that thing where they don't wake up and they go, I need to, how do I get my training today?
Yeah.
So if you're like onboarding as a coach, someone who is pretty much, they haven't fucking trained 10, 15 years and they're still in their head, they aren't someone who trains.
Yeah.
And this like, is there something you go, right, how do you start that process in their head to go like, okay, you need to get from where you aren't someone who trains to someone who's, this is what I do now. It seems like a massive bridge, and I've struggled getting people where they're doing the session, they're loving it, and then but then they've got to go away and it's got to like marinate, and then they've got to want to come back. Then they settle back into their normal life, and then they go back into being a person who doesn't train again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I think
what do you
I think this was a hard problem when I was first coaching, because I was already into hard exercise.
Same.
So that I wanted to make people do hard things.
Yeah.
And then I was like, fucking losers. They don't like stick like
I hate. Yeah.
But and there's an answer to this, but I think that is the condition. Most people get negative reinforcement by being like, and I think we're supposed to like maybe show people how unfit they are so that they want to get fit.
Okay.
But really what you're doing is like not giving them any positive, like this is what it can do for you. Right. Remember that you won't do most things unless it's positive to begin with. So you're like, and I don't mean like fluff their nuts and tell them how awesome they are. What I do when I have somebody who knows they need to make a change is I don't make it painful. And I don't tell them what to do, because consistency will be the first thing that gets somebody to change their behavior. So I say the goal, you give them something like very realistic that's like an immediate win.
Yeah.
It's like 3 days a week, you come in here and just 15 minutes. It's 15 minutes, and just coming in for 15, that is the mark of success.
Consistency.
Yeah, and then they get there like, what can I do? Like, you're making the thing real easy.
Sorry, that was the first thing.
Think about how we condition dogs. It's the same, not to like compare, but it's just behavior.
Yeah.
A dog that like is afraid to come into something because they're hesitant, you have to relax and let them do it on their own time, and then allow them to put their head in the leash. You don't like put it around and grab them, because they immediately retract. That's what I feel like most hard exercise is for people, is retraction. It's like repulsion. There's a struggle between people who know at a higher level, and I say higher level, it's arbitrary, but people who know how it feels to be fit, walking up those stairs and not being out of breath, being able to like pick something up and not fear tearing something, being able to, this sounds dumb, but like stepping off of this without being like, that we take that for granted. Maybe we don't, maybe we know how beneficial it is. People don't even realize that that's not a thing. So I think that is the first thing that I try to do, and I had to do it with myself. Think about the other side. Like, what are you bad at? Like, what do you want to get better at that you know before you become bad at?
It's not going into that.
Not fitness related. Thanks. Like something in your life that would be like, I need to do that, but it could be like, I need to meditate. I need to.
No, what it is.
Okay.
Stick into meditation.
I need stillness. I need something. So imagine if you were to go to a meditation teacher and he's like, oh, you have to sit in Seiza, which if you're familiar with like Japanese meditation techniques, on your knees.
Yeah.
On the knees, because that is the Bushido way. Like if you're following the path of the warrior, you sit on your knees. It's more painful and you're more upright. Yeah. The first time I meditated at a Zen center, I had to do that to pay for my Iaido lessons, which is swordsmanship. And I was like, whatever, meditate, just sit there.
Yeah.
And so I went in, it's like 4:30 in the morning into the Zen center. There's monks everywhere, just like meditating, like if you try it. And I went to sit down in like lotus and I sit there and I'm like, 30 seconds. Holy fuck. How long do we have to be here? I was like,
hours.
There's no way. It made it such a far distance I couldn't even imagine. Yeah. Granted, this is where you'll meet your people that are like, that's fucked up, and they're into it. I was into it, so I was like, that kind of grabbed my attention about how hard it was. Some people won't be that, but for the average person, they're like scared dogs, and you have to kind of like let them know. That's also something that you can choose to do or not. And having the trick or the methodology, I think, is more important than the standardization. So when somebody comes into our gym, I make a distinct decision about whether they're worth coaxing into come in, right? And some people, I keep that barrier up because I don't want them to come in. So I'm like, it's going to be painful because they're either going to change and shift into accepting the hard thing, or they'll eject themselves and it's just a trick for me.
Yeah.
Or I go, I see something in that person that they don't even see themselves. I need them to come in, and we have a couple, really long-standing clients that was one of the first times that I was like, you know what, I should find a different way than just like beating somebody down. And so I had to think really hard about, well, what gets them to like want to do it? And I was like, well, just come on and spend like talk to me for 15 minutes. And that's where these like real interactions started happening, and then they were craving that interaction. And then I would be like, here, hold this dumbbell while you tell me about your day. And they'd be like, oh, I could do this thing. And then switch hands, I'd get back on the bike, and they'd be like, and hold on. And then they'd finish it, and they'd get off, and they'd be like, and then Betty did this, whatever. And then you'd be like, all right, we're done. And they're like, fuck, I just did what? And you're like, you just trained for a half an hour. Now, was it to our standard? Was it this? No, but they were like, oh, I got tricked.
I do for half an hour.
And I really enjoyed breaking it up that way. That, I think, you can do it with hiking, you can do it with anything. That's my answer, long-winded answer to being like, if you control how you reward and punish people, it's much more effective than just punishment.
Yeah.
Blatant reward has its same disadvantage too. When you're giving everybody a carrot, they just become a bunch of fat rabbits.
When carrots off the wall, I can't keep.
Yeah, and then this is how it goes with exercise. If you're running a like high intensity like group training facility, you give somebody 6 months of high intensity training, they see almost all the benefits from that cycle, and then they go, now what? Well, if they continue pushing hard training, they're going to start getting hurt, and then they're going to say, why am I training? Because I just keep getting hurt. And so the downsides of only positive training are that people they will get into it longer, they'll burn out faster at the top end. So we see the cycle, and when we bring somebody on for positive, we then really shift them towards like a couple harsh reality checks. That keeps it like kind of like an honest discussion.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Unfortunately, there's no like commercial way to apply these concepts.
That's exactly what's in my mind as you're talking.
How do you
maybe
sell
you're talking
this?
about guys at the station. Maybe
Station, like a few like clients I'm on board at the moment who are going from zero.
That's what our conversation has turned to, like over dinner, is like, oh, but when you commercialize it, it almost all falls apart unless.
I don't think so.
Well, hold on, but your guys, when you were saying, because you were like, oh, Michael said he had 35 members at his gym. You guys are able to be like your point of like, I don't want this person.
We don't make a profit off of that part.
Yeah, exactly right.
That part feeds another part.
Yeah, right.
But the answer to this is go back to like standard business practices. People are casting very big nets and being like, well, I can't catch tuna.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's not how tuna get caught. And tuna is like the valuable client that pays a lot, that values you. There's a trick here where you're like, if I work very hard on getting selective clients that value this exchange, it's called niching down. The problem is if you have, unfortunately, a standard business model that's only based off of affiliation or another person's brand recognition, and you are just a subsidiary of that, you are kind of a franchise of that, people see homogenization of the service or the skill set. They don't see the value of the coach. It goes both ways. Once you become a renowned coach that's good for something, you can't scale it because everybody just wants you for your, intimate knowledge. And this is why you see, an explosion of certifications, because the guys that, innovate a certain thing in the fitness realm, they run out of time, they run out of space, they start training other people in their methodology, and it turns to shit too. But then it's like a trickle-down effect. The answer to it, I think, is to actually niche down and get very specific about the kind of client that you want and that you're really good at having exchanges with. For like Aaron and I, we think about the client who is meticulous with wanting to like feel a certain way, and they're willing to listen and try things in order to feel the best that they can. I don't want athletes because they don't know how to make good exchanges in their effort versus their reward. I don't necessarily want the average person at all because they're not sensitive to what feels good and what doesn't. So your service will go over their head.
They'll be like, well, I don't know. We did this with a lady not too long ago. She had like, a ton of issues, autoimmune flares, back pain, and physical. She's kind of a hypochondriac and kind of like overwhelmed in her own head. Her nervous system is fried. We took her on. She got off of pretty much every medication she was on. There were 17 or 20 medications she was on. Removed all of them from her system. She was then exercising. She dropped 27 pounds. And we got to the point where like, you feel better? She's like, I don't know. She would just come up with like the next thing. Because actually, she didn't want to feel good. She wanted somebody to feel sorry for her. She was using these maladies as a way to get attention. You go, oh, I fucking missed it. Okay, get out. Because you're never going to help somebody that wants that kind of attention. If that makes sense. So niching down is the hardest thing to do. How many people live in Birmingham?
A few million.
This helps me. I go, how many people could fit in your gym?
At the moment, 2.
Oh, well, I mean,
so like my personal little one, the actual I could train with is going to be like 5 to 10.
So think about this: in 2 to 3 million population, you're booked at 2 to 3 or something
so
like that. You're
like to filter people out.
You can really narrow it down and get the exact kind of client that will be a really valuable exchange. You can charge a premium for your time. I think the one thing that we get wrong is that we set a price that's standard so people understand what the exchange rate is, but we're not actually we're not accounting for what the exchange actually costs. In reality, let's call this like client A, client B, client C. Client A is never going to see the value because they're like, well, Lifetime Fitness is $19 a month. And I'm like, okay. And this person is like, doesn't know any better, and therefore you have to like inform him why you're valuable. And client C has been through the ringer and understands, man, I can get, if I just ask questions, I'll develop. Like what's weird is this person never wants to pay more than $20 a month. Therefore, the way to get around dealing with people like that is to just go upstream and go, I'm $1,000 a month. And this person goes, fuck yeah. Here's what's weird. Like I spent $25,000 on my own coaching this year. Some of it was not worth it, right? I made like, it wasn't what I wanted, but the weird thing is I, paid 15 grand to essentially 3 hours of time of coaching.
To explore.
I made it worth it. I took so many fucking notes. He gave me a list of 3 books. I read each book 12 times to try to extrapolate. And I was like, I wasn't paying for coaching. I was trying to find value out of what he said. And the second I made the exchange and I handed over my money, it became my duty to get the value out of it because I didn't want to feel like I got ripped off. And you notice when you do that, some people are like, $1,000 a month. And you're like, if you can't afford it, it's okay. Like I can't afford a Ferrari. I don't go to the fucking dealership and try to like get one for the price of a Kia, right? I go, that's not my car. I wish it was, but not only can I not afford the car, I can't afford the maintenance. I can't afford the insurance. Like that's so far out my realm. You can be the same product. We cut, like Ferraris are hand built in a line today. They took 100 years to design the systems that make their engines with very, very low tolerance and high speed. We've taken 20 years to figure out how to tune a human being. That's probably more valuable than paying $19.99 a month for like an online program where you'll never talk to the person. Just saying. And it's not that that's not useful to the average person. It's just like you really have to, my hardest lesson in coaching is to learn my own value. That's probably everyone's here. Yeah. If that helps. Thank you.
I think my question is, why do you want to work with people that you have to force into the work? I mean, people come into our gym all the time and they're like, I'm just going to put the kettlebell on my head and I'm just going to like rest here when it's supposed to be overhead. And I'm just going to do half-ass because me showing up was good enough. And I'm like, get the fuck out of our gym. Like, you're not for us and we're not for you.
Problems will come from 20% of your clients because 20% of people are like, I'm here, tell me what to do. I don't really want to be here. And then you're just like, wow, okay.
Unless you pre-select
the work.
I would like, I need 20% of my clients to give me 80% of my value.
Yeah, it goes the other way.
Yeah, and that way I have 80% to use as what I call human sacrifice, right? This is the example. And then like people kind of like in our gym get mad at me sometimes, like,
why don't you let that person here? It's like, they're a reminder for everybody of how not to be. And it could be something very simple, like,
Attitude.
I don't know, the person who doesn't realize they have chalk all over the hands and then they do a bear crawl. And you're like,
It doesn't even.
you know, this isn't about fitness. This is about awareness. And simply doing something like that without being like, oh shit, I made a mess for somebody, signals to everybody else that there's always finer details that we can pay attention to make the people's lives that we care about easier or better.
Yeah.
And if that isn't in your head, if you're here for yourself, I'm going to give my fitness, I pay them to clean the floor. You're like, that's not what you're paying for, actually. That has nothing to do with it. If that's what you want to do, there's a building, a warehouse, some weights, it's way cheaper than me. That's what we reserve for. But I do want those people around, because otherwise, we did it during COVID. Like during COVID, we stayed open and it was like wonderful. We just like hung out with our friends. We trained every day. We high-fived each other. We created such a bubble that when other people started to interact again, we're like, who are these people? Why are they acting so weird? And it's like, that was a problem too, because we didn't have a reality check. I was like really getting irritated at other people's behavior because we had been kind of like spoiled with people who were hyper responsible. You know, if they started to feel sick or they were like, hey man, I got exposed, I'm just gonna stay out. Cool, thanks. Or, hey, I wiped down the whole gym because, nobody was here and I thought, this is the exchange we're
It's our
actually.
D-dog.
Actually, you're looking for people that are giving stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's a gift.
What you're bringing to the table, because if I come to you, I'm paying you. So
Exactly.
you have to give it, you have to inject fitness in
Exactly. Trevor posted this the other day, and it's really funny that he posted this because I think the exact opposite of him. He's like, transactional relationships are terrible. And I was like, do you know what? I would use Trevor as the example of why I think all relationships are transactional. Every relationship needs to be balanced on the scales of giving and taking, whether it's energetic, monetary, whatever. How many people have clients that it is not worth the money that they pay you? It's not. It feels like, not only am I not getting enough money for this, but they're like taking away from my energy and my thoughts and all of that stuff.
Definitely not taking your time.
You have to balance the books. Otherwise you go, what I would call nervous system bankrupt, right? You will bankrupt yourself. And so transactional relationships say, they're in marriages just as much as anything else. Like there's months and weeks and times where I'm not the one throwing down for like the family, right? Erin is the one who's working 15 hours a day, hustling, trying to like take care of stuff. And then it switches. She falls into patterns where she's like, I'm just tired. And then, I don't feel like doing the dishes. And it's like, okay, it's my turn to step up because we exchange. Now, it can't be a tit for tat. It has to be like, we're seeking equanimity. We're seeking this balance where I go, thank you for like taking that from me. Now let me come back and like give. Trevor's the example of somebody I don't even ask him for money ever, never would, right? Because when he comes in, he's like, what can I help with? What can I do? Hey, I cleaned that thing, I didn't ask. And he'll just sit and wait and figure out how he can help. And that's just him wanting to be around people he wants to be around. So he's constantly tipping us, right? He's constantly like, here's my energy. Can you use it? I'm in town. Do you guys need anything? Out of nowhere, dude. Like, he'll just say, hey, I just got back from a bear hunt. I just need a day of rest, but can I come help around the gym? Like hang out, say hi, clean stuff. And you're like, why
Why are you doing that?
Yeah, what? Why are
Gentlemen.
Yeah, it's like, we wouldn't need money if this is what most people's exchanges were like. So I think that's super important too. Yeah.
You guys think about like what you're putting out there to help people understand what that value is, or are you just very focused on living and breathing it and doing things the way that you guys do, which tends to attract people of a similar mindset, people who are interested in the same thing, and that happens naturally? Is it a blend?
Man, to be honest, like this is probably the hardest thing I'm gonna have a time understanding myself is like how to approach it. Do I want to be somebody who like preaches from the rafters about how somebody should be? I don't think so. But also, like, should I market our thing as the answer? I also don't think so, which means I sound very like insecure in what we do. It's kind of like, what's your thing? I don't know, it depends. Because I don't want to say that I have the answer, but I do want to attract people to the idea, because like I was explaining to Ricky yesterday, is like I keep going back and forth between like, should I make this easier to understand, communicate better? So what? I can communicate to the people that have low attention spans and kind of like low threshold for understanding. Man, not really. Do I keep things complex and, you know, amorphous and harder to understand for the hopeful thing that somebody sees it? Maybe. I'm lost in that, you know, between world where I'm like, our ideas are so complex, but that's what makes them awesome. That's what like attracts me to them, is like, we're thinking now at the point of like, what does a workout like what we did today, how does that change my feeling about myself, other people, my behavior? Is there something that it sets in stone where if I do this repeatedly, it leads to a certain personality trait? And if that personality trait is desirable in society, but we just found a way to condition people to become better people through like various means. I think that's true. I think that's why you find jobs that have like harsh selection methods, right? Navy, Army, military, LEO, fire.
Police, not so much.
Yeah, well, so,
You should tell you afterwards.
it's getting looser, but I think when you have like some
either way.
kind of selection method where people have to work hard and work as a team to make it into the thing, I think you pre-select for people who are a little bit more aware of the person around them, and you get rid of the people that are there for themselves. I think just that as a community or a society is really kind of what we're doing in a gym, in a like micro scale. I don't really have an answer to it, because I think I'm struggling with finding a balance of like, the marketing that I appreciate is a level of communication that describes what we do accurately.
Exactly.
The level of sales that I'm comfortable for is an agreement to an amount that we charge and that you want to pay. And our advertising is a combination of those two.
Yeah.
I found like the, you know, ad spacing and the click funnels and all the things, I find that erodes everything that I'm trying to do, but it does work. So like, I don't know what the comment is. Drop into my DMs and I'll send you a free thing. That actually does get people to go, I wonder what it is. And then they're down further, and then they might see something that's more valuable. Like, oh my God, there's a whole world here. So I don't know if that's worth making the exchange. It probably is. I don't think there's anything like, there's nothing egregious about using like click funnels or something until you are bait and switching. I just don't know what is what's acceptable and what's not.
And that's how I think about marketing, which can have like an ick to the word. Tricking.
Yeah.
Like just getting clear and clear on what the value is.
Yeah.
Not clarity on the ideas,
Yeah.
but the value, because that's even for us it gets hard, because yes, we are affiliated, but we've created this movement labs which sits above it. And we have to help people understand why it isn't, well, it's not £50.
Totally, yeah.
So just describing that value, and you guys are obviously successful. We all came here to engage with you.
Yeah.
I couldn't describe to you in a sentence why I know if I get on a plane and come here that I'll have a good time and it'll be worth it. But I do, like,
You know.
I do know that. But it's that if it seems like the game is to elevate the status of coach, help the wider world, and you know we have to collaborate with others, so we can't just be in our own heads. So it's that game of like, what is this thing and how might we get the right others to engage? Because I assume that we do want more to engage, not to help our bank balance, because it's clearly better for us, for them.
Honestly, I
so
do
all
think
of this
that's
stuff
part
is
of
just
it,
wrapping around my head.
like,
all the time.
here's the hard part to parse is that we've also we've seemingly made it acceptable through a false sense of piety that earning money is some kind of negative aspect.
Yeah, right.
Now, seeking money above all else might be a problem.
It's not an at all cost.
But what I really do think is like, man, there's plenty of billionaires that have given their money away, right? They've used the mechanisms into gathering wealth, and they've done better things with their wealth. I think, honestly, the thing that I think is probably most valuable to us that I've explained at FT and Hostess is like, I think the shift that I would aim for in fitness specifically is getting people to potentially realize the real value of it. Right? It's like we're sitting on diamonds and exchanging them for pennies because, well, they're just hard rocks. And you're really like, yeah, but it's this thing that is the underbelly of your behavior and societal health. Like exercise is the single most important factor in longevity, which means it's the single most important investment somebody could make. and yet people argue whether paying you $100 an hour is too much.
Dude, like since opening the new gym and running the sales funnel, running the trials, and having all the WhatsApp conversations, like our membership starts at $150 a month, which is 9 sessions a month. 2 times a week that averages. Our sessions are 45 minutes as standard, 6.75 hours a month, and $150 a month. And the impact on my mental health of having hundreds of conversations a month where people are fighting so hard against giving that for what they get out of less than 7 hours a month. The longevity, the lifespan, the health span, the character traits, since working with you guys and understanding more and more what that adds, it's burying me, man.
This is a great.
So that's why it's just really in my head to like make that shift, you know.
For me to see the same thing that you did when I was like doing the math, and I'm like, man, the people that pay the least complain the most. It costs me the most problems. I could take, let's say, we charge $300 a month for in-place gym, which I think that's too cheap. And like I said, we only have like 35 to 40 people at any one time. The interesting thing is I went like, well, I can get rid of 10 of those people if I just have one client pay $3,000 a month. And then like it alleviates this attention deficit thing where I'm like paying attention to 10 different things as opposed to one. And there is more than a handful of people that pay $3,000 a month for coaching. That is far less effective than what I do and far more expensive. They are everywhere, right? Now, they're better at marketing than I am, so it's harder for us to find those key clients. But I would rather have 3 clients than 30, right? Like that. That is where I think we're going with it. I do want to thank you guys for coming out because it's super fun for us. Like I was telling Ricky yesterday, like for us, the reason why we can kind of like just post it and do something for free and offer is because I would rather get people that are like, man, it's gonna suck, but hopefully you don't think it's gonna be a beat down. Hopefully this week is more about exchanging ideas and just hanging out, like watching Andreas teach what he did. Phil shares his thing, Adam sharing his idea. That's kind of what we want this stuff to be about. And so like that is where I think the value will come from. Right? Coaches making it easier to go learn from other coaches is really the thing. So I wanted to get you guys a sample of what this week was for us. So I got you guys some keychains.
Are they panic? Oh, they are.
I got you some tiny little dicks. You get a blue one. Ricky, I got you a red one.
Oh, they're signed to you.
Black one. You get a black one. Green for Luca. Oops. How did you know? It's black and small. Thank you guys for coming. Get out of the sun a little bit,
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks, Hefty and Costas.